So, in the Hekate book I'm reading, I just found out this morning how Hekate came to have three heads. And let me just say that part of the book, oh my god, it's my favorite. So, I'm gonna read it to you. The Labyrinth. Kronos was the god of time, and what is time but a maze without an end? As I tried in my drugged state to escape his cave, it gave way to a labyrinth of caves. Kronos might have been a diminished god, but he knew precisely how to use his powers to confuse me. So I did what I had to do. I chose the cave that had appeared closest to me and stumbled toward it. Behind me, I could hear that he had turned into his true size, and the thud of his footsteps were louder and slower than mine, but covered more ground. I had forgotten that Kronos was also the father of giants, beings of great stature and strength. I ran through cave after cave, stones and sharp-toothed minerals cut at my bare feet, and still I heard him behind me. It felt like my heart would be torn asunder. Oh, if only I had drunk the nectar before this happened, it would have fortified me. But now I was breathless, and these tunnels seemed endless. Behind me the Titan ran, his unrelenting roar sending chills through my body. But still, I was silver-footed enough to run faster than he could, and it put me in the lead, my single winning hand. Finally, I had reached a crossroads. Three different cave entrances stared at me. Each looked like the other, crystal lit, until suddenly the crystals died. Trembling, I pulled a torch from my bag, hoping to light my own way. A trick that Styx had taught me. A snap and a flick, and the fire flew from my fingers to the torch, the darkness fleeing from the flames. "Thank you, Styx," I whispered softly. My fear had a grip on me as I looked at all three roots in turn, hoping this was not just whatever spell he put on the food toying with my head. I could hear Kronos now. He was snorting, and as I turned, I saw his monstrous form in shadow, close behind me, like the form of a minotaur. But there was no minotaur here. This labyrinth held something much more dangerous. A once god king, perhaps it was the panic that made me do it. But whatever spell was that he gave me, but whatever the spell was that he gave me was likely a culprit, as the ancient stirring in my blood. Every approaching footstep was evoking something in me. The taste of molding cavern air, the smell of danger so close behind, so terrifying. I felt I would break apart. Like pieces of me were pulling apart, my whole body trying to tear itself into portions. Then there was a moment of wrenching pain. My vision suddenly cleared, and I split into three. The three. I stared into two scared faces that were mine but older. But before any of us could react, Kronos' form began to fill the cave. Our thoughts ran together, like a cascading river. The panic, and then the clear instruction. Run. The race. Each of us took a cave, each stumbling as we did. I could feel them, the other two me's. We could think linear thoughts. The same thing occurred to us at once. We scrambled over rocks, together in the endless caves, and I saw what they saw. It was the third version of me that Chrono gave chase to. She was the slowest of us. Even if just by a fraction I heard him behind her, he was closing in. I willed her to run faster, while I ran faster myself. His hand reached out, closing around her. No, 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 no. In panic, she shoved her torch into his face, and as though he had seen his own monster, he roared in fear, and she scrambled to her feet. And Kronos! It was the voice of a dozen gorgons, thunderous with frightening fury. It was the sound of 100 sirens screaming against the ocean wind. It was the cry of 1,000 harpies screeching before they descended on prey. So primordial was this sound that the three I had split into were jarred back together as one. The raging pain pulsed through my whole body as I felt the other two versions of me stitch themselves back into my body again, and I felt myself burn and stretch and return until there was no others like me left. Just one. Only me. And then the voice filled the room again. Remember, Titan, where you stand. Your oath to me and Hades and demons demands an answer. Kronos, who had been terrifying to me, suddenly sounded very small. Forgive me, goddess of the dark. I have simply been lonely. There was a terrible cold silence that followed, and then the voice spoke. Let this be the last time you break your oath. For the next time, it is Tartarus or Styx's water. The choice is yours. I could hear the wobble in his voice as he whispered, I apologize. I am so sorry. A shaking sob escaped his chest, and that was when the voice turned its attention to me. Hekate, child of Asteria and Perses, you will be brought to the halls of night, where you will explain your purpose for this intrusion. I winced at the word intrusion, but before I could acknowledge the message, a hurricane of darkness swept me off my feet, turning everything around me into a swirling abyss. Out of everything I have read, that whole part, that whole sequence, I feel like is my favorite because it sheds so much light on how she was able to have 3 heads. At least the beginning part of it.